Hey folks, Labruski here in a new Comics Corner. Now, the book that we are going to talk about today is Four Kids Walk into a Bank. But before we do that, if you could please like, comment, subscribe, and share, that would be greatly appreciated. It helps out the channel a whole bunch. Let me preface this video by saying I highly recommend you check out this book. I absolutely loved it. I had so much fun with it, and it was a blind buy for me. So I really just knew the title, and I thought that's a book I will enjoy. If you are somebody watching this video and thinking the same thing, just go ahead and read it before you watch it. I'm not going to dive into too heavy spoilers, so if you're still on the fence, you can watch this video in its entirety and read the book afterwards and get the full experience. This comic follows four kids. We have Paige, Walter, Berger, and Stretch. And Paige is the group leader, and she decides that the four of them should rob a bank. Now, why does she decide that? Well, some former associates of her father was recently released from prison, and they come back into her father's life, and she quickly discovers that they are going to try and rob a bank, and she does not have confidence in that group of men working together to rob a bank. So she thinks if her and her friends do it first, that will stop them and keep her father out of jail. So the good of the book, the book opens up with the four of them playing D&D, and it's not going well, right? The campaign is quickly getting out of hand. You know, we get introduced in this scene really to the dynamics of all the characters, and it just goes to show how are they going to rob a bank if they really can't even successfully sit down and play a D&D campaign, right? Which this kind of leads me into my next point is just how funny this book is. Now, I'm not s- I'm not really one to laugh out loud, especially when reading a comic, but there were a couple times where this book got me, and there's really only a handful of comics that have really made me laugh out loud, and this is one of them. And there's a lot of good ongoing bits throughout the story, right? There's one with name tags that I think work really well. So this book definitely teeters on the line of being a comedy and a drama. I would say it leans more toward the comedy side. There are some heartfelt moments in this book, especially between Paige and her father, that I think are overall really well done. So the next thing in this book that works for me personally is the art. Firstly, I think the art is absolutely beautiful. And also the page layout and the panel layout. The creators get experimental with the panel layouts, and I think for the most part it works. I love when comics do that sort of thing. And here they do, and like I said, I think it works for the most part. There are a couple times where it's hard to navigate the page, if you will. That's where I don't think it works so well. But the panel and the pages and the art, they all combine just to tell a super compelling story. And I think this is another example of the artwork and the story going hand in hand and bouncing off each other to really tell a beautiful story. Like I said, the artwork is absolutely beautiful and it's very simple, but it works. And at times, the panels and the pages almost remind me of like a Wes Anderson story, because you the symmetry of the panels and the way everything's laid out. It's definitely a little reminiscent of some of those films. So now time to get to the not so good parts of the book. And the first thing that it didn't work for me 100% is the motivations behind some of the characters, especially the father. I don't really understand why the father does what he does sometimes throughout this book. I think I think there was a little bit more story that could have been told and gone into more of an explanation as to why we see the father do what he does. Kind of a small thing, but I think if we did get a little bit more of an explanation, I think the more emotional beats would have hit a lot harder. The other thing that does not 100% work for me is the ending. Now, with that being said, I feel like it's a little rushed. It makes sense where the story goes and whatnot. It's a little unsatisfying though. And I do think it was maybe a little rushed. I think if they split up the final issue, which is chunkier than the others, and just split that up and explored more of the ending, I think it would have worked overall a lot better, honestly. So, overall, I do recommend this book. I think it's a lot of fun. Um, like I said, it's very funny at times. It does have some emotional beats that I think overall work for the most part. But there could have been some improvements, I guess you could say. But I strongly recommend you check this one out if you have any interest in it. I believe they're actually making a adaptation. I don't know if it's. I think it's maybe a TV show. It could be a movie though. But I believe this is going to be turned into a live action movie, which is awesome. I think it definitely works. It's reminiscent at times, really just with the core friend group of something like Stranger Things or like The Goonies, and I think it works. And I think seeing that in a live action movie or show, whatever it may be, that's going to be awesome. Um, so yeah, that's going to do it for today's video. Please like, comment, subscribe, share all that good stuff we mentioned before, and I will see you in the next Comics Corner.